And welcome everybody to the Huddle, KGUN 9's weekly streaming sports talk show. I'm Jason Barr, joined by Pat Paris, whose computer camera is clicking like the Arizona offense. Pat, how are you?
I'm doing better than the Arizona offense right now. At least we're on. We're on.
Terrific. All right. We're going to talk about Arizona, the good and the bad. The Wildcats welcome Colorado in for homecoming, 3-3 versus 4-2. Coach Prime and the Buffaloes. We're going to start here with our Huddle poll question because we have hit the midway point of the season. So we're going to give out a little grades here. And what grade would you give the Arizona football coaching staff? So the choices are on the left there, B, C, or D. You can't give them an A. They're 3-3. You can't give them an F. They're 3-3. So do you give them a B, C, or D? You can't go incomplete because we are halfway through the season, and this is the first half. Pat, I think you're going to see a lot of people give them a C. I'm going to do just that.
Yeah, that's what I gave too, is a C. I think a B is a little too homerish for my liking. I don't think it's a D. I think there's some inherent issues with taking over a program like Brent Brennan and his staff did. We had such high expectations because of so many returners, but they did lose some key members, and it's a whole new regime. And I always equate this to when I was doing professional sports, whether it be the St. Louis Cardinals baseball or the St. Louis Blues hockey or the Pittsburgh Steelers or what. Every year it can be the exact same team or close to the exact same team, and you don't get the same results. Every year is different, and this year is just not going according to plan. And there are a lot of reasons, and we'll talk about that.
Our research department putting up some notable stats there from 2023 versus 2024. Kind of going game by game there with the turnovers and some of the yards per game. Now, listen here.
I will say this, Jason, and they did a great job. And Ryan, I know, put these stats together, and that's great. But we're talking about 2023 complete stats,
right?
And 2024 6 games in. Remember, last year at this time they were 3-3. And then they ripped off 7 straight wins to go 10-3. And so a lot of those stats, if you would have looked back just the first 6 games, I'll bet they would have looked a lot like what we see in 2024.
But Pat, the difference is if you go by the eye test, that team
no
lost
question.
In double overtime at USC, and they lost by 1 score at home to a team that played in the national championship game. And They lost an SEC road game. This team has not looked good from week 2. Week 1 was even a little shaky with the defense. This team has not looked good all season. This team looked bad against NAU. This team has played 4 Power 4 teams and has won 1 game against a backup quarterback. Now, a lot of people are jumping on the Brent Brennan criticizing him. Look, I had a lot of concerns about hiring a coach who coached for 7 years at San Jose State and couldn't win a bowl game. I'm not interested in piling on right now. What I will say is this. This is a very fragile program. I'm in my 13th year here of covering Arizona football. And one thing I've noticed is that they are very fragile. You go all the way back to my first year here in 2012. Rich Rodriguez inherited a roster that was so thin, he had to take players on offense and put them on defense. His goal was to build up the depth of the roster. He couldn't do it. And so when they had running backs go down, he had to take a wide receiver, Samaje Grant, a few years later and put him at running back. And he had similar issues. The next coaching staff, Kevin Sumlin, I know COVID a little different. He had to start a walk-on at middle linebacker. This is a very fragile program. 2 years after this team was in the 2014 Fiesta Bowl, they went 1-8 in the Pac-12. And this team right now looks like it's headed to the basement of the Big 12. Your thoughts on that?
I think the jury's still out. I see why you think they're trending that way. The schedule doesn't necessarily get a lot easier. It gets a little easier. They're done with ranked teams for now. One of these teams that they're about to play could jump up. Colorado's, I think the jury's still out on them, but a lot of people have them as, if they win a game like this coming in here Saturday, they'll be ranked in the top 25. I think there's no doubt about that. I'm totally in agreement with you when it comes to the fragile nature of the University of Arizona football program, and I go back a lot further than you, Jason. And I've seen this program as it just entered the Pac-10. Even a little before that, but definitely I really started paying attention when they entered the Pac-10, and then went to the obviously went to the Pac-12. But the
But
issue
Pat,
that
where
I
I'm
have,
going with this is you have a couple of players go to the NFL after this year, a couple of players transfer out. Okay. And that's why I say they look like they're headed to the basement of the Big
yeah,
12. And then you have to wonder which is the coaching staff to rebuild this program.
well, it'll get rebuilt in a completely different way. It's not going to be. This isn't Jed Fish's coaching staff. It's Brent Brennan's staff. It'll be done a different way. And college football's changed a lot, Jason. I think that the transfer portal giveth and the transfer portal taketh away. And so you might see an exodus after this year if things don't go well, but you also might see some guys come in. We'll just have to wait and see. My point is, and you and I have talked about this, Jason. This is a program that every time they have a 10-win season, 10 or more win season, of course, it's only happened a handful of times in program history, they can't follow it up. Even when they have everybody back or almost everybody back, they've not been able to follow it up. And my fear is that's kind of what we're seeing again to a certain extent. Now,
But
there's
what's
7 games.
frustrating here is you go back to the last time when they won 10 games, which was 2014 when they went to the Fiesta Bowl. That team caught lightning in a bottle. They won a game on a Hail Mary. They won a game on a missed kick at the end by the other team, right? That team really kind of had a record above where it was. The team last year, player for player, was far better than the 2014 team. And so with the players back, that's why the expectations were high. My issue is not really comparing this team to what I thought the expectations were going into this year. My issue, Pat, with this team is watching this team every single week and looking what they look like. They don't pass the eye test.
And you get back to one thing in my estimation, Jason, and that is your star players. And thank you for putting this up, Ryan. Your star players have to be your star players. Noah Fafita, 4 turnovers. That's not your star player being your star player. Quali Conley averaged, looked so great 2 weeks ago. Now last weekend he runs for 3 yards per game. Tedero McMillan is, he had the awful turnover 2 weeks ago. That just, it just can't happen.
He's been very, very good, Pat. He hasn't been great. Why do I say he
Exactly.
hasn't been great?
But
he's gotten
isn't
tired
part.
at the end of games. He's run
Yep.
himself out of bounds during interceptions. The fumble, I think, was really a good play by the other team.
It might have been, but you got to protect the ball.
And he's had a couple of drops. He's been very, very good. He has not been great.
Yeah. Now, how much of that is Noah Fafita not being great or very good? I don't. I mean, it probably goes in hand, but I think it's as simple as, yes, the defense is really banged up now, and some of their star players are not even there. But the defense at times is actually starting to get better. I think they just, you say, oh, they gave up 41 points. Well, 4 turnovers will get, that could lead to 24 or 28 of the points there of the 41. So. I really think that star players have to be star players. There's a lot of pressure on Noah Fafita for coming back. I understand that, but he's not quite the same quarterback he was last year to this point. His percentage completion down by 14%. He has 9 interceptions compared to 8 all of last year, and he, of course, only has 8 TDs. So 9 interceptions, 8 TDs. The TD pass to interception ratio is way, way off.
All right, so I'll talk a little bit about Fafita here. What Noah Fafita is showing you is that he's a good quarterback, just like Anu Solomon was a good quarterback, just like Khalil Tate was a good quarterback, and just like Jayden de Laura was a good quarterback. Maybe Noah Fafita was a little bit better for last year's team. Maybe Jayden de Laura might be a little bit better for this year's team with his creativity. But a lot of times you can drive a Cadillac. It's harder to drive a Ford. Last year, Noah Fafita had 3 NFL players who aren't on his offense who aren't back this year, with Jordan Morgan, the tight end Tanner McLaughlin, and the wide receiver and Jacob Cowing. It's a different offense when 3 NFL players are gone from that offense, and you don't have the same time to throw. You don't have receivers being open. And what he's showing you is he's a good quarterback, but he can't make magic happen when the 3 NFL players aren't there anymore. And so I think he's a good quarterback, but to say, oh, he's not playing as well as he did last year, I think he's preparing the same way. And I think he would play as well as he did last year if he had the same situation around him.
No, he probably would, but it's a different situation. What I'm also seeing, and I'm not going to take credit for this stat. I saw it in the Daily Star, and that is, you want him to get the pass off in under 3 seconds, about 2.75, 2.8 seconds, but he's well over 3 seconds of holding the ball. And you can say he's not getting a lot of protection, and he's not getting protection consistently, but he's also holding the ball a little longer, and that was the difference between Jaden DeLaura and Noah Fafita last year. Is we noticed immediately that Fafita was making that decision. It was read, throw, or read, throw, but he did it in under 3 seconds. I mean, he was really quick at it. For some reason, it's just not happening for him right now. And I don't mean to pile on Noah Fafita. There's plenty of blame to go around. It's just I still get back to your best players have to be our best players, and he's your best quarterback. He's your best, probably your second best weapon on offense, and he's not quite there yet. There's still time. 7 games left. Colorado is no juggernaut, Jason. They still have problems putting 4 quarters together too, and that's what we've got to see out of Arizona is 4 quarters of solid football. They came out of that locker room at BYU with the ball exactly like you planned it out, right? That's why you defer. You defer so you get the ball to start the second half. They're only down 14-7. They've been outplayed, only down 14-7. Fumble or interception, then fumble. I mean, and just the wheels fell off. It was just that quick. You've got to play and be ready to go at the start of every half.
And I'm tired of hearing people say the targeting rule needs to be changed. Everybody knows what the rule is. Jacob Manu can't get himself thrown out of the game. He was kind of out of control in the first play when he was trash talking with one of the BYU players, and on the next play, he targets the guy. Everybody knows the rule.
Yeah.
Don't do it. He got himself thrown out of the game. So because of that, you're without your 3 captains on offense. Stooks and Maldonado are already hurt. Although I don't think they've lost, as I know that's a loss, but the guys who've come in there in their place, have played well.
Have done well, right. That's what that's why I said earlier. I thought the defense, at times has played pretty well, especially when you consider all the injuries. But when you have Jacob Manu, you're right, Jason. Let's just stop with this. They're not going to change the targeting rule,
and I don't think they should.
And the targeting rule took some time so that players knew not to do certain things. And what did I text you right away, Jason? What's the number one rule they talk about in tackling? Is in order to avoid the crown of your helmet going into a player, look at what you're hitting. All you have to do is keep your head up and make that tackle, and it's clean. But as soon as you go like that, it's a penalty. That's easily remembered by a player, and I don't know why he felt that he needed to go so out of control that he lowered his helmet. And it's unfortunate because you talk about being a heartbeat of a unit. He is the heartbeat of that unit. He really is.
All right, so Colorado comes in here this week on Saturday for homecoming, and I think you're going to feel a different vibe in Arizona Stadium.
Yeah.
These games have not been sold out. I've been at these games. These games have not been have not felt like big time college football games, right? I remember being in McHale a couple years ago when UCLA was coming in, and even though McHale does feel like a big time college atmosphere, when UCLA was coming in and they were both, I think, top 10 teams, it was elevated. I think for anybody going to the game on Saturday, you're going to feel a little bit of a different buzz and a little bit of a different atmosphere because of 3 guys. Coach Prime, that guy right there, the best player in college football, in my opinion, Travis Hunter, who plays wide receiver and defensive back, and Coach Prime's son, Shador, who is a hell of a player. He is a warrior on that field. Yeah, he is a phenomenal quarterback.
And did you see Travis Hunter has been cleared to play?
Yeah, so he's going to play. Also, their second best wide receiver too, who was hurt, is going to play too. Who knows how healthy they're going to be? He looked like he had a separated or a dislocated shoulder the way he was coming. It did not look like a bruised shoulder to me, Pat, when he was coming off the field.
No, and that's the whole thing is how many reps will he take? Will he play both ways? Will he be limited one way? Like, will he be limited on the offensive side of things? And hey, what a matchup this could be. You've got him, Hunter, going against T-Mac, or we'll see if that's the matchup. But if that's the matchup, isn't that something to watch? Isn't that something to tune in for?
That's worth the price of admission right there. I mean, Travis Hunter should be the number 1 pick when he comes out, or 2 or 3, whatever. He should be 1, 2, or 3. And T-Mac should be a first-round pick. I don't know if he's a top first-round pick, but he should be a first-round pick.
He's a first-round pick, yeah.
Those 2 are worth the price of admission. who knows who's going to be at the game on the sidelines. Coach Prime kind of brings the atmosphere with him, and I think it should be really a heck of an atmosphere at Arizona Stadium. Sold out. Apparently, it was the fastest the Zona Zoo's ever sold out. So I'm really looking forward to Saturday. Just wish Arizona was going in also with a 4-2 record as well.
And hey, finally, we're going to
I
have
wish
football.
Colorado was coming in 5-1. I was rooting for them against.
Oh yeah.
The other night.
But we're finally getting some fall weather too, Jason. So I think that's apropos that on Saturday afternoon we'll be in the 70s instead of in the low 100s.
I know you and I both said we'll believe it when we see it. My iPhone keeps changing. Now you want to go by Kyler Diggs's forecast, the guy on Channel 9, right? That's who you want to trust. But when I'm not watching him, I go to my iPhone and it says 73 degrees on Saturday, and it had gone as low as 67 and it was up as high as 74, and it's been kind of in that low 70s right now. So 73. I know we'll believe it when we see it it's been 100 degrees for the first 13 days in October until yesterday.
We finally broke that streak. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's revert back to our Huddle poll question now and see how people have voted. What grade would you give the Arizona football coaching staff midway through the season? Would you give them a B, C, or a D? Okay, so I don't know. Hard to be good in the first year. No, it's not hard to be good in the first year. I know sports are different, but Terry Francona won a World Series in his first year with the Red Sox. Okay. Took over a good team. So I don't know that as B would be.
It's hard to be good in
B
your first
would be
year.
I would
it's
say
hard
B.
To be good.
They've had a bunch of injuries or something like that.
If it was so easy, Alabama would be rolling right now, and they're not rolling right now. They're facing a couple of losses coming their way soon. So it's not that easy. It really isn't.
Yeah. So you have some upset fans saying D. This roster is too talented to be 3-3. It's understandable. Brent Brennan was asked about fans' frustration, and he said, "Well, I'm frustrated too." So nobody wants to win more than I do. So
they had high expectations coming in. Imagine Brent Brennan's staff working so hard to try to keep that nucleus of Wildcats here, and then getting that announcement. Knowing that Fafita and McMillan and Manu and down the line are all coming back, and their expectations change too. They're not necessarily in a rebuilding mode of when they were first at San Jose State 7 years ago, where they had to, the cupboard was bare, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, the cupboard's fairly full. We can do this, but it's not clicking right now, and that doesn't mean it won't. But it's just not where we expected them to be. I certainly thought they'd be 4-2, if not 5-1.
You surprised they're a 3.5-point favorite over Colorado. And that was before the news today. I don't know if the Travis Hunter news has changed.
Right. And that could change it a little bit. But I think what that shows you is Arizona at home, it's worth a little bit, because we know going to BYU, that was a tall order. I mean, any team would have had trouble. Every team has had trouble against BYU so far this year. But really, I think Colorado's just inconsistency too. They've been like this, and that was their MO last year too, Jason. And it's not just like this from game to game. It's like this from one possession to the next. You just don't know what you're going to get with Colorado. And I think they're definitely better this year than they were last year. But there's a lot of questions about how good this Colorado team really is.
The Buffaloes are 4-2 under Coach Prime. Arizona 3-3 with Brent Brennan. So Tedero McMillan is third in the nation in receiving yards. Other interesting stat: kicker Tyler Loop needs 7 points, so 2 field goals and an extra point to pass Kadeem Carey and be third on the Wildcats all-time scoring list. I don't know how you compare a kicker to a running back, but kind of an interesting stat nonetheless.
Yeah, exactly right. I think that we take for granted Tyler Loop, but he has been a heck of a player for the last few years with Arizona. I've been so impressed. I know he's missed a couple. Everybody misses a couple. It's college football. You're going to miss some kicks, but he has been pretty reliant, and I know why now the hype is around him for going to the NFL. And I think they keep talking about how the ball sounds different off his foot, and it really does. It's like the superstar home run hitter that, when he's in batting practice, when, it used to be Mark McGuire, then I was around Albert Pujols for a while, and it's a just different sound off their bat. It's a different sound when Tyler Luke kicks a field goal or kicks an extra point too.
Yeah, my favorite comment was, I think, the opening game against New Mexico. I was in the press box, and there was a New Mexico media member, and he said, "Our kicker kicks for the Dolphins, and he doesn't kick like that." So yeah, I looked it up, and sure enough, the kicker of the Dolphins, I forget his name now, did go to New Mexico, and so that was kind of interesting.
Wow,
interesting compliment. All right. Let's finish it up here with one last look at the Huddle poll question, in case it's changed at all in the last couple of minutes. But basically, your evaluation here of the Wildcat football coaching staff. So you can vote if you want. Go to KGUT9/KGUT9.com/poll, and you can vote on that if you want. And there it is right there. And all right, we'll be back here next Tuesday to talk about Arizona football, and certainly, Pat, we're going to get to basketball in the not too dear, distant future here.
Ranked number 10, Jason, and that's what,
game on Monday night,
and only the 5th best team in the Big 12, right?
That's crazy.
That's how great that basketball conference is. It's just amazing, and that's good. Arizona's going to get challenged at least one game a week. I'm saying they're going to find that it's going to be tough. It's not going to be every once in a while when Oregon's good, or UCLA or USC. It's going to be every week they're going to face a challenge.
And you're going to be rooting for those Big 12 teams during the regular season, because the better they do, the better it helps your RPI. Right. You want those other teams to win. I remember Sean Miller saying the days of rooting against ASU are over. We need them to win their games against.
I'll never root for ASU
or other Pac-12 teams. I think it was other Pac-12 teams.
I know what you mean. You mean.
All right, this has been the Huddle, KGUT9's weekly streaming sports talk show. For Pat Paris, I'm Jason Barr. Thanks everybody, and we'll see you right back here same time next week.